The WhatsApp AI bot interprets the user's query as either a complaint or a request for instructions. If it's a complaint, it collects the user's details and alerts the support team. If it's a request for instructions, it generates the appropriate steps to provide the necessary guidance to the user.
Hello viewers, welcome to Tech 45 Degree, and in this video we will implement RAG-based WhatsApp AI bot. So we will create an AI chatbot that can instruct user on the basis of user query or save user complete in the system. So we will create a bot. This blue guy is a bot and it will receive a user query, and then the bot will process user query as an instruction query or as a complaint. So if it is a complaint, then we will save the complete details of the user with the complaint in a Google Sheet. Or if it is an instruction, then the bot will process the user query to our RAG system, and then the RAG system will generate appropriate instruction or appropriate response to the user. And by the way, the complete implementation of this system is done under the supervision of DICE Analytics. So the basic architecture of our AI bot is like we will create a bot. We will use a Botpress platform to create our bot, and then we will integrate this Botpress with our WhatsApp. So Botpress will receive a user query from the WhatsApp, and then this Botpress will process the user query. So if it is a complaint, so it will send this complaint with the user details to the Zapier, and through Zapier we will save these details in our Google Sheet. And if it is a instruction, so if the user query is a kind of instruction, then our Botpress will process the user query as a instruction to our RAG system, and then the RAG system will generate appropriate instruction or like a response to the user. So in stage 1 implementation, we will use a Botpress platform to create our bot, and it will receive the query from the WhatsApp, and then this Botpress will process that query to as a complaint to the Zapier, and through Zapier we will save the user details and a complaint to our Google Sheet. And for this implementation, we will need some tools and technologies, and we will use for bot app. We will use Botpress platform, and we will use Zapier to integrate with Google Sheet to save user complaint details. And now I will open the Botpress, and if you are not login, so you have to create your ID and then log in here. Also, as I am already logged in, so here I will click on new bot, and this will create a new bot for me, and then I will click on open in studio. So here we can select different templates, and I will click on like start from scratch, and I will use this scratch template, and this is how our template look like. So I will click on like flows, and we have some default flows here. If I go in the home, so here we have a like instruction that you are an autonomous agent. You can search the web and look for answers in the knowledge base. And if I click on flows here, so here we have different flows, and let me remove this one. So I will click on delete, and I will remove this one also. I will click on delete node, and I will also remove this node. So now we have start and end. And now I will click on like right click on the studio, and I will click on standard node, so it will create a standard node for me. And this is how I can connect our start with our standard node, and then I connect our standard with the end node. So we can create multiple standard nodes, right? And then in standard nodes we can add cards, so we can add like text, audio, and then we have like execute code cards. We have like generate content, Okay, so there are different cards. So we have like single choice. So if I select this single choice here, so if I select the multiple choice card here, right? And yeah, and if I want to test if I want to run the code, so this is our emulator, right? And if I click on test, so it will select like mix a choice from the list below. So here we have to add the choices here. If I click on the single choice, so we can select like, so we can select the label, so like maybe uh yes, right? So in single choice we have a single choice here, right? And I will add another choice like here. So from here I will remove this card here, delete card. So in single choice we have like yes and no, and from yes and no we can redirect it from like standard 2, okay, and standard node 2. And if the user select no, so we can redirect it to the end node. So now let's run our emulator, and I will say test bot. And if now it's tell me to select a choice, so if I select no, so our chat has been ended. As you can see, our conversation ended, right? If I select yes, so it will move to the standard node 2, and here I will add a text like something text. And now here we can send write a message. Okay, actually let me review this card. We will add like label. Actually text node is okay, and here we can say like welcome to standard node 2. Okay, and now I will run the bot. Okay, and then I will connect this to the end node. Now if I run our bot, so I will say, and here we can select a choice like yes. Now it moved to a standard node 2, and it displays the message from a standard node 2, and then the conversation get ended, right? It moves to the end node. So this is about standard node. And in Botpress we can also create autonomous mode. So in autonomous mode we can provide an instructions, right? And on the basis of instruction we can redirect the flow to our desired action. And we have agents here in Botpress. We have different type of agent, such as summary agent, knowledge base agent. We have like personality agent, and then we have like we can integrate our Botpress with different applications. So like WhatsApp, Telegram, Linear, right? We can integrate it with Slack. But in this tutorial we will integrate it with our WhatsApp. So this is just a small demo about Botpress, and I have already configured a Botpress flow. So here if I go here, I click on flow. So here we have a like a start node, and from start I have created a standard node. I name it as a query node, and it takes the user query. And if I click here, so here it displays the message that is how we can assist you, and it takes the user query and it stores that user query in a variable. It is a user query. So if I go here, so we can create a variables here. By clicking here we can create a variables. So I have created a variable that is user query, and we are storing the user input in a variable that is user query. And then I have connect this standard node with our autonomous mode. So this is our autonomous node, and here I have given an instruction that you are an intelligent assistant capable of understanding user query. Your task is to determine whether a user query is an instruction or a complaint. An instruction is a command or request to specific action to perform, while a complaint is an expression of dissatisfaction or a problem that needs attention. Once you have identified the query type, forward it to appropriate agent, the instruction agent or an for instruction, or a complaint agent for complaint. So this is the instruction we have given to this autonomous node, and here we are taking the decision on the query. We are using the variable which is user query. So this in this user query we save the user query, right? and we are classifying the user query in the either an instruction or a complaint. So here we have used in cart, that is AI transition, and here we have provided two transition, that is instruction or a complaint. So for instruction I will come later, but if it is a complaint, so we are forwarding the user request to a complaint node, and here this is another standard node, and I name it as a complaint node. And here we are providing a message to a user that provide your details, and we are asking for a full name, phone number, and email address from user, and then we are saving these details in a variable, that is full name, phone number, and email address, which is inside in our workflow. So this is our workflow, and then inside this workflow we have variables. So we are saving these details in the variable which is inside workflow. And then I have add execute node here. So in the execute node, we are forwarding these details to the Zapier. So this is our Zapier endpoint, and if I double click on this execute node, so this is the complete detail. So here we have provided the Zapier details, Zapier URL endpoint, and then we are passing the variable names like name, email, phone, and complaint. These are the keys, and these are the values we are taking from our variables, which is inside our workflow, right? And then we are logging the response. This is how we have created an execute node, and once it send the details to the Zapier, then in the end we show the message to a user, that is, thank you, we received your complaint, our support team will contact you soon. And then we ask for the user that do you want to anything else, and we are providing two options. That is, if he want to know anything else, so if he select no, so if the user select no, then we forward the request to our greeting node, and here we display a message that is, thank you, have a nice day. And from greeting node we just end the like our bot flow, we end the conversation. But from here, if the user select yes, right, so then we have created like another standard node, that is query node loop, and here we are asking again the user information, like a user again asking a question from a user, like what he else want to know, and then we are storing the user input in our user query. And from here again we are sending the user query to our autonomous node by taking a decision, like whether it is an instruction or a complaint. So if it is a complaint, again we ask for the user details and save those details in the Zapier through Zapier in our Google Sheet. And then we ask for the like if you want to know anything else. So here we are running a kind of loop. So if he select no, so again it will send the request to our greeting node and end the conversation. But if he select yes, again we send the user request to the query node loop, and then again it send the request to the autonomous node. And here we are taking the decision on the basis of complaint and instruction. So if it is a complaint, we are forwarding the request to a complaint node. But if it is an instruction, so if the user query is looking for some kind of instruction, so we will send the user request to our Gen AI node, that is kind of which is our knowledge base. So this is how our Botpress will work. And now I will create a Google Sheet. So I will go here and I will go in the sheet, and I have created a sheet, Google Sheet, that is named Gen AI, and it has 4 attributes, that is name, email, phone, and complaint, and the sheet name is user info. And then we will open zapier.com, and once we log in with our Gmail account on the Zapier, so I will click on create, and I will click on steps, and here I will click on like trigger, and here I will click on webhooks by Zapier. which is a Pro, and here I will select cache the hook, and here I will click on action, and here I will select the Google Sheet, and here I will click on select event, and on action event I will click here, and here we have different events, so like a clear spreadsheet row. So I will just scroll down here and I will click on create spreadsheet row. So I will click on this, and then we need to connect with our Google account. So I will click on sign in, and now we are successfully connected with our Google account. And now I will click on continue, and here I will select the drive where our spreadsheet is available. So I will select my Google Drive, and thus I will select the spreadsheet from here. So the spreadsheet name is Gen AI, and inside this Gen AI I have a sheet that is user info. So if I go and open our sheet here, so this is our user info, right? And inside this user info we have like 4 attributes or 4 columns, so like name, email, phone, and complaint, and it is showing here that is name, email, phone, and complaint. And first we need to book our URL. So if I click on webhook for Zapier, and I will copy the webhook URL from here, and then I will open the Postman. So we have to trigger a post request on the given webhook URL, and this will be the format of our request. So we will select in body, and we will select raw, and here we will select the JSON request, and then we will create a JSON request look like that. So we will trigger create a key and value. So in key we have name, and then we have a value tag 45 ID. Then we have phone, email, and complaint. So we will trigger this request on the given webhook URL, and then we will go here, and if we do the test triggering, and now okay, so we like we have received a request. So this is like name, phone, email, and complaint. So these are the requests we received, right? And now again we will go on our Google Sheet, and we will click on configure. So then if I click on name, so here we have received the name. So we will map our name attribute of our Google Sheet with our name parameter that we have received. Similarly we will do for email, and then we will do it for phone, and then we will do it for complaint. And now I will click on continue, and then we will do the test. So our test is successful, and now if I go in our Google Sheet here, so here we have received the details, right? Now we will do the publish, and once our zap is successfully published, and then I will copy this webhook URL from here, and then I will paste it in our Botpress. And now we are in our Botpress Studio. So in Botpress Studio we have a complaint node, and inside this complaint node we have a like execute card, and once I click on here, so we will configure our webhook URL of our Zapier here, and this is the request we will send to our Zapier. And now if I close this one, and similarly we will configure our Zapier webhook URL to our other second node, that is complaint node 2, that will be executed for the loop. So I will click here, and here we will configure our webhook URL, and this is our request. So we will take the workflow full name and email address, phone number, and user query from variables, and assign it to the keys, that is name, email, phone, and complaint. So these are the keys that our webhook URL are looking for, and in the end we will save the webhook URL response in our log. So I will close this one, and now if I go here, okay, and now I will run our code, and now I will click on test our bot. So I will click here, and it sent the message that is hi to the bot, and we receive a message that is how we can assist you. So this message has been received from here, right? So here we are sending a message to a user, that is how we can assist you, and we are saving the user response in a variable that is our product user query. So I will just roll this emulator, and here I will send a message that is, for example, our user is providing a message that is, I am not happy with your services. So this is a message that we are sending from the query node and sending to our autonomous node. And on the basis of this message, this our autonomous mode take a decision whether it is an instruction or a complaint. So if it is a complaint, if it will forward the request to our complaint node and ask for the details. So now if I click on this one, and our our autonomous node, which is our AI node, it detects the user message as a complaint, and it forward the user message to our complaint node, and then it asks, send a message that is provide your details, and it asks for the full name. So in the full name I will say tech 45 degree, and then it asks for the phone number, so we will provide some dummy number here, and then it asks for the email, so I will say T45 degree, or like I will say info at T45degree.com, and then I will click on enter. So it capture the user details, and then it send a message from this card that is, thank you, we received your details, and like, then it's giving the choices to a user, that is, it for user want to know anything else or no. So if the user select no, so it end the conversation by showing the message that is, thank you, have a nice day, and the conversation has ended. And now if I go in our Google Sheet, so as we can see, we have received the details that is user provided, and in the name like tech 45 degree, this is the email, this is the number, and this is the message which is a complaint. And in stage 2 we will implement RAG. So the proposed solution to store information, our source of knowledge will be YouTube video URLs. So we will create an endpoint that will post video URL, and then we will generate a transcript from those videos. And if the transcript is in like other language other than English, so then we will use Google API to translate our transcription in English. And once it is once we get the transcription in English language, then we will reprocess our data. So we will generate some embeddings and metadata, and then we will store our embeddings and metadata in our vector database. So this is how we will create our knowledge base. And then in order to process user query, we will have another endpoint that is REST endpoint, and it will take user query, and then we will reprocess the data. So we will generate embeddings from user query, and then we will process these embeddings to our vector database to extract the relevant documents from our vector database. And then we will create a prompt. So we will create a prompt on the basis of user query and relevant documents, that the relevant documents we received in a previous step. And finally, we will feed that prompt to our LLM to generate the instruction on the basis of user query. So the tools and technologies we will require. For REST services, we will need fast API framework. Actually, we will use fast API framework for REST services. And for general transcription, we will use a Whisper base model, or like we can use YouTube loader. And for translation, we will use Google API. And to generate embeddings, we will use sentence transformer model, that is all mini LLM L6 V2 model for generate embeddings. And the vector database, we will use Python. And for LLM, we will use Ollama Orca mini version. And for deployment, we will do our deployment on AWS EC2 instance. And for WhatsApp, we will use Meta app. So in Meta app, we will create our WhatsApp. And the final and the most important tool, we will require a hot cup of coffee. So let's go and grab a hot cup of coffee, and then we will go towards the implementation. So I will open a Pinecone website. The address is pinecone.io, and here I will log in. And once we get successfully log in our Pinecone, then we will create an index. So I will click on create index, and I will name it as a Gen AI. And here we will provide the dimension. So I will use 384 because the embedding model we will use, it has a dimension of 384. So here we will provide dimensions as a 384, and the metric I will use cosine for similarity. And then the cloud provider is AWS, and the region is Virginia. I will select Virginia, and then I will click on create index, and our index has been created successfully in Pinecone. So I am in my ID, and this is our project. And now if I go here, so we have a file that is requirements.txt, and here we are installing some of the requirements. So like fast API, UVCon, Py2, and these are the different requirements we are installing. And now I will close this one, and the second file I will show you this environment variable file. So here we have configured our API keys, such as for Pinecone API key, and then we have this for Pinecone index name, and then we have configured our translator API for Google. So okay, so the first file is like app.py, and here we are initializing our fast API, and here we have a one endpoint for root. So we are just returning a welcome message from here, and in this root we are like included as our custom router. So I have created a Pinecone router. So if I go here, like in routes.py, this is our Pinecone router. So here we are configuring the route. So our first route is like video. This is our first endpoint, and it is a post method, and it takes the request body. So if I go here, so it takes the video link in its request, and then I am initializing the Pinecone vector DB. So in vector DB, here we have a Pinecone class. So here I am configuring like initializing a model for transforming. This is for sentence transformer model. So for this model, we will use to generate the embeddings. And here we are getting the index name, which is from our environment variable. So sorry, from our environment file. So this is the, here we are like initializing the model and the index name of our Pinecone database. So here in our Pinecone DB, we have a method that is data preprocess, and it takes a video link. And from YouTube loader library, we are loading the video and getting the transcription. So it provides the transcription, and here we are checking if the transcription length is greater than 0, then we have a variable that is text. So we are taking this transcription in a text. If the length is like less than 0 for transcription, so sometimes the YouTube loader doesn't provide the transcription, then we are using actually we are downloading a video from the URL. So in length function, here we have a function that takes the URL, and we are downloading the YouTube video on like some custom path, and then we are returning the download path. So once we download the video, we return the path, and then we are checking if the path is not empty, then we have another function that transcribe the video. So here we provide the path of our downloaded video, and if I go here, we are using a whisper model and we are using the base variant of a whisper model to generate the transcript, and it will return the transcript. So it returned the transcript here, and then we are using that a function to detect the transcript language. So if I go here, so here in this function we are detecting the language of our transcription. And now if we get the language, if the language is not equal to English, then we are using like a Google API to translate our text into English language, and then we are returning this English transcripted here in a text, and then finally we are creating a chunk of our text. So we are using like recursive character text splitter to create the chunks, and from this method we are returning a chunk. So this data preprocess method is used to return the chunks, right? And now again, if I go in our route, so in route, like we have created a PineConDB instance, and then we have a method that is upload embedding. So here we are passing the video URL. So if I go here, and here it takes the video link, and we are passing this video link in a method that is data preprocess. So this is the method, this one here, all this process is going on, loading the video, generate the transcript. If the transcript is not in English, then it translates the transcription, and then finally it creates the chunk. So here we are passing the video link, and it returns the chunks, and we name it as a docs. So this is the docs, and then we are connecting with our Pinecone, and the index we are passing. So index is gen AI, and this is the index, and then we are like using the our model. So this is the model, this is sentence transformer model, and we are creating the embedding of our chunks, or like we are creating the embeddings of our docs. As at the same time we are creating the metadata. So here if I go in the prepare data method, so here we are creating the metadata and IDs from our chunks. And then finally we are upsert the data. So we are zipping the embeddings, metadata and IDs, and create a variable of a upsert data. And then we call the indents.upsert method. This is a Pinecone method to upload the data in our vector database. And finally we are printing the states of our vector database. So this is how we can upload the our source of knowledge to our vector database. And then we have another endpoint, that is query. So this endpoint will be used to receive user query, and this is like HTTP post method. And here if I go inside this Pinecone DTO, here we are taking the user message. So once we get the user message, and then we are creating the instance of our Pinecone DB by using Pinecone DB vector DB class. So here we get the instance of our Pinecone, and then in Pinecone we have a method that is handle query, which take the user message. So if I go inside this method, so it uses Pinecone client.index, and here we pass the index name, and then we are like embedding the query. So the query we received, we are using our model to embed the query, and finally we pass this query in our index to retrieve the top 3 relevant text, or like top 3 relevant document from our Pinecone vector database. And when we get the retrieved text, so we are we are using this expression, and we are taking the text from our metadata, which is here we will get the output. And then we are also taking the video URL, because in metadata we embed the video URL during the uploading. So we receive the output and the video URL from this method handle query, and in return, so it retrieves this source knowledge and a video link from this handle query. And then we are using our RAG AI. So I'll and here we have method that is AI response, which take the user message. So this is the user message which we receive in our REST API endpoint, and this is the source knowledge. So the source knowledge is the relevant document that we received on the basis of a query from our Python database. And then I am initializing our model. So if I go in AI response here, so here we are initializing a model, and we are passing user response and source knowledge in its constructor. And then in model, then we have a method that is generate response. So it generates the response on the basis of prompt. So on its constructor, actually here we are generating the prompt, we are in augmented prompt. So we are saying your chatbot that is trained to answer for user response. So you are giving the following context. So in the context, we will provide the source knowledge, and in the user response, we will provide the user response. Actually, that is user request message. Okay, and yeah, so then it will return the model response. So like in generate response, we are generating a prompt from generate prompt method, and then we are passing we are initializing our LLM model, and in the model we are using Ollama or mini version, and then we are invoking LLM model on the given prompt and get the model response and return the model response from this method. And finally we are returning the model response in the response of our endpoint. So this is the complete structure of or I can say this is the complete implementation of our RAG system. And here we have used fast API framework to expose our RAG system as a endpoints. And before running our application, first of all, we need to install the dependencies. So I have mentioned all the dependencies in our requirements.txt file. And now we need to install Ollama in our local system. So I will search for Ollama, and I will click on download Ollama, and then I will click on download Ollama for Windows. And once I click on that, it will start downloading the Ollama. And once the Ollama has been downloaded, I will click on the Ollama setup to install the Ollama, and it will take some time during the installation. So Ollama has been installed successfully in our system, and here I will open the command prompt and I will say Ollama. So here we can see the Ollama has been installed, and now I will say Ollama list. So here we don't have any Ollama model right now, so I will say Ollama, and to provide a model name, we will go on the website and of Ollama, and we will click on models. So here we have a list of models, and we will use because we are using, if we go in our code, and here we are using Orca Mini, so we will search for Orca Mini, and we will scroll here. Let's search for, okay, so here is we have a Orca Mini here, and I will click on this, and here we have a command that is Ollama run Orca Mini. So I will copy this line of code and I will paste it here, and then it start downloading the Orca Mini model in our system. So the complete model is around 2 GB, and it will take some time in downloading the model. So our model has been installed, and now I will say Ollama run Orca Mini, and now our model is up and running, and it is looking for some message or as an input. And now I will run our application from our ID. So I will click on this play button to run the application, and the application is up and running on a local host. This is our local host address, and our port is 8000. And now if I go in my browser, so our application is up and running now, and it can be accessed on this address, that is localhost 8000, and this docs is the address of our documentation of our web services. So here we have 3 web services, that is get, root, and it doesn't do anything, it return success message, that is welcome to AI integration system. And then we have another endpoint which is post, and this endpoint has a video. And if I go here, so it takes a link of video link. So I will provide a YouTube video link here. So if I go here and open this video link, and now if I click on execute, and our video has been uploaded successfully. So if we go here, these are the states of our Pinecone database. And now if I go here and open our Pinecone database, I will search for Pinecone, and here I will log in from my ID. And now if I click on our indexes, that is Gen AI, and here we can see the video embeddings has been uploaded with the document ID, and these are the metadata. Okay, these are the embeddings and these are the metadata. So in metadata we have document ID, text, timestamp, and the link of the video. So this is the link of the video. And yep, so our video has been uploaded successfully, and now I will query the video. So here we have another endpoint, that is query, and here we have to write our message. So our message like how to defrost freezer. And now if I execute it, and it generate the response, that is to defrost a frozen freezer, follow these steps, and here it provide the steps. And now if I go in our ID and check the logs, so here we have write the logs for the response. So here it provide the steps in like in order 1 2 3 4 5 into 9 steps. It provided how to defrost a freezer. So our RAG implementation has been completed, and we have exposed our endpoints through fast API. And now let's deploy this our RAG implementation on the server, and we will use AWS EC2 instance. And now we will deploy our RAG application on AWS EC2 instance. So here first we need to log in. So I will click on like login, and I will provide our credentials. So once we get login successfully in our AWS, so we will search for EC2, and here we will click on EC2, and here we will click on the like launch instance, and here we will select instance of a type Ubuntu, and here I will click I will name this instance like maybe my AI dot server, and the is a type of the Ubuntu, and here we can select like a volume. So here we have a free tier eligible, and I will select this one. Okay, and the architecture is good, and here we will select instance of type. So this is T2 micro, and we will select a kind of large instance of a like 8 GB memory. And because we will run Ollama on our system, so we will use T2 large. We need kind of a large memory, and here we can select the key pair. So I will click on create new key pair, and here I will click on PPK. So we will use putty to log in. So we will use putty. So we will select .ppk key type here, and I will name it as a AI bot key pair. Okay, so I will name it as a AI bot KP, and we will create this key pair. And yep. And for security group, we will allow the traffic from anywhere. So we will allow HTTP traffic from the internet, and we will allow HTTP traffic from the internet, and allow SSH from anywhere. So here we will create a security group. And for memory, I will select like GB3 memory, but of a 60 GB, because we will use Ollama, and it takes like a lot of space. and we need to install some of the dependencies. So we need like around 30 or 40 GB, but at the safe side we will keep it as a 60 GB. This is not free, okay? And yeah, then we will, so these are the configuration or the summary of our instance. So we have like number of instances 1, and this is the system we are using, and we are using T2 large with 8 GB memory, and this is the security group, and this is the volume of 60 GB. Okay, now we are good, and I will click on launch instance. So it will take some time in launching the instance, and our instance is up and running. So if I go here, and this is the instance, we have like my AI pod server, and this instance type is a pending state. And now our instance is up and running, and if we click here, so this is the IPv4 address of our instance. And if I go down here, so this is the key pair we already downloaded. And for security group, okay, so this is the security group that has been attached to our instance. So now I will go here in our security groups, and I will select the security group. Our security group has been attached. This is launch user 2, which is attached to our instance. Okay, so we need to set inbound rules. So the inbound rules, like it will allow the traffic of HTTP, HTTPS, and SSH from any network. So the source is 000, means it is allowed from any network. And if we check the outbound rules, so outbound rules is already also allowed from all traffic rules. So our security group is okay. And now if I click here, and now we have to connect this instance. So I will click on connect here, and here we can connect it with like connect using EC2 instance connect, and I will click on connect, and it will open the console in the browser. So it is establishing a connection. So we can see we are successfully connected here. So our Python has been installed successfully. So if I write Python 3.12 minus version, so it display the version. So our Python is installed, and now we need to install the Ollama in our Linux. So I will go here and I will search for Ollama, and I will click on download Ollama, and I will click on Linux. So to install Ollama on Linux, we have a command, this one. So I will just copy this command, and I will go here and I will paste it, and I will execute this command on our Linux server. So it will take some time in downloading the Ollama in our Ubuntu server on EC2. And now our Ollama has been installed. So I will say Ollama list. So we don't have any Ollama model here. So I will install our Ollama Orca Mini. So I will say Ollama and Orca Mini, and I will install the latest version of Orca Mini. So it will pull the Orca Mini model. So Ollama is up and running now. So it expect the message, and now I will go here and I will click on AI pod server. This is our AI pod server, and I will open the another connection for this AI pod server. And now if we go here, okay, so now we have to move our source code in our server. So for that we have a like with SCP application, and yeah, so I already installed with SCP, and I will click on new site. So here we have to provide a host name. If I go here, so this is our host name. I will just copy our host name. This is public IPv4 DNS, and I will paste it, and the port is 22, and the username is Ubuntu. And for password, actually we have already downloaded a key. So I will click on advanced, and here I will click on authentication, and here we have to provide our key file. I will click on this, and I will select our key, the key pair we have created. So it is very important not to lose this key, and I will click on this and I will click on OK, and now I will save it. And now if I click on login, then I will accept it. So we are successfully inside our server, and now I will go in home. So in home, I will create a directory here. I will say I will create a directory of like, okay, actually let me move this folder. So this is our AI bot rag. This is our source code, and now we have to move this source code here. Okay. So for that, I will actually we need to we will move not the complete source code. We will move some of the files. So I will create another directory here. So I will say directory, and this will be like AI bot. Okay, so permissions is denied, and we cannot create a directory here. We need to create a directory from our here. Okay, so I will say ls, and now I will say make directory such as AI bot, and now I will do ls. So we have a directory of AI bot, and now if I open with scp and if I refresh it, okay, and let me search for the AI bot directory, and inside our ubuntu directory we have a like AI bot directory here, and we will move these files actually. So we move it from here, our local system, to our server, and it will take some time in copying the files. And now we are good. And now if I search it, yeah, and now I will do cd AI bot here, and if I do ls, and now we have to create a virtual environment. So I will say python 3. So first we need to install a virtual environment directory or like library. So here we have like you will execute the command to install virtual environment. I will select y to add the virtual environment libraries, and now if I click on if I create a virtual environment, so now our virtual environment has been created successfully. And now we have to activate our virtual environment. So for that we have a command source and the environment name, and build and activate. So as you can see, our virtual environment has been created. If I do ls now, right, so now we have to install our requirement. So I will say pip install -r, and I will pass this requirement.txt file, and I will execute it, and now we will install all our dependencies in our virtual environment. So it will take some time during the installation. So all our dependencies has been installed successfully, and now I will run the application. So I will make sure I am inside my source directory. If I write it ls, so yes, I am inside my source directory, and I have to run this file. And this is a fast API, so I will run the command that is ubcon main app, and I will bind it with the 00, so it can be accessible from anywhere, and it will run on port 8000. So if I run this one, and now as you can see, our application is up and running now. And if I go in my browser, so this is the IPv4 address. So if I go here, so this is the address of our IPv4 of our instance, and as our app is running on port 8000, so this is the port and this is the docs. And now if I go here, and if I write the query like how to defrost freezer, and if I execute our command, and if return a response that it to defrost a freezer, you can follow these steps, and these are the steps. If I go in the console, so here as you can see, it returns the steps. So this is how we have successfully deployed our application on EC2 instance. And our RAG application has been deployed on EC2 instance, and it is running successfully. And this is the endpoint. So this is the endpoint for our application. And now we have to integrate our Botpress with this API. So the user query will be passed to this API, and it takes a user message. So now if I go in our Botpress, and actually let me copy this endpoint from here to this. Okay, let me copy it from till this port 8000. And now if I go in our Botpress, so in our Botpress I have created a Gen AI node. This is a standard node, and it has this execute code card. And if I click here, so here we will paste our endpoint. So let me, okay, actually let me go here, and I will copy this one, and I will paste, I mean say HTTP. Okay, and yeah, and this is the chat endpoint. So if I go here, so this is the chat. So here we will we will execute our like we will trigger this endpoint, and inside this endpoint we have a method that is post HTTP method, and it has endpoint of chat. So if I go here, so this is our complete endpoint. Let me copy this endpoint. Okay, and now if I go here and I will paste it, let me do it like that way. And then we have to take the query. So we will take the query from our variables workflow.user query. So our user query will be saved in our workflow a variable that is user query. And then we will create a post request, and we will pass a user message. So this is our user message, and the user message we will pass the user query. And finally we will log the response, and we will return the response data in a variable that is Gen AI response, which is another variable in our workflow. So yeah, this is our execute code is okay, and this is our Gen AI node. So now if the user query is a type of instruction, so for complete workflow we have already seen, right? And now we will if it is a user query is a type of instruction, so we will connect this instruction with a Gen AI node. And similarly for the loop case of loop, like if the yep, this is autonomous mode, so here the instruction. So we will for after the loop, actually we will connect this instruction to our Gen AI node. So if I go here, yeah, this is again Gen AI node. So we will connect this instruction to our Gen AI node here, right? Yep. And now we will run our pod. So I will say I will pass the instruction that is how to defrost freezer, and now I will execute the query. And as you can see, our transition has been made to our Gen AI node from autonomous node, and now it is executing the send query to the chat API, and it will store the response. And here it get the response from our drag system. So here it gave us the steps to defrost a freezer, and also it attached the video link. And then it asks for like do you want to anything else. So we have an option like yes or no. So if I go in our Gen AI node, so this is the code, and to executing query to on our best AI endpoint. And then we are saving the response in our variable that is Gen AI response. And then we have another card here to show the response. This is the response we are showing by using this card, which show the variable that is Gen AI response. And it display the single choice, and it has choice like do you want to know anything else, yes or no. And if I say like yes, and this time I will submit a complaint. So I will say like, I have a complaint to submit. I don't like your services. And if I click enter, so it triggered the transition to a complete node 2, which is our second node inside the loop. Yeah, and and then it tells that thank you, we received your complaint details, and do you want to know anything else? And I will, if I click on no, and this time it will display the message thank you, have a nice day, and the conversation ended. And now if I go in our Gen AI, so here we have received the complaint, right? Actually we didn't get the details of name, email, and phone, right? So let me start this bot again, and yeah, and I will say I have a complaint to submit, and it will ask the details, like I will say T45T, and the mobile number or phone number I will provide this one, and for email I will say info@t45d.com, and it takes our complaint. If I go here and refresh the Google Sheet, okay, so here we have received the details of the complaint. And now let's ask the question for instruction. Similarly, I will say how to the cost freezer. Because we have uploaded only a single video on our vector database as a source of knowledge, so and that is about freezer, defrost freezer. So we can upload many videos as a source knowledge in our vector database. Okay, so if we see here, the transition has been sent to our Gen AI node, and if I go here, so here we have received the request, and it will take some time to generate a response. And if you see here again, we get the instructions to defrost a freezer. So if we compare the previous and the updated instructions, so like turn off and plug your freezer from the power source, use a frost freezer, defrost process 3 to 5 centimeter thick ice buildup. If we go on top, okay, so the previous cat has been removed. Okay, so now our chatbot is like ready, and now we have to integrate our chatbot with our WhatsApp, and now we will register our WhatsApp app. So I will search for Meta for developers, and here I will click on Meta for developers for Facebook, and I will click on login. So we will log in from our Facebook account, and here we will provide our credentials, and I will click on login. So once we are login, so here we will have an option that is my apps. Sometimes here we have an option that is get started, so we will click on get started, or like if we have an option for my apps, so we will click on my apps here, and here we will create our first app. So I will click on create app, and I will select I don't want to create a business portfolio yet, and I will click on next, and I will click on other, and here I will click on business. So here we will create a business asset pages like event pages, events, groups, ads, messenger, WhatsApp, and Instagram. So I will click on next this one, and here I will name our bot, that is name our app. So I will say my bot. Okay, so this will be like our bot. So I will click on my bot here, and here I will select no business portfolio selected, and I will click on create app. So our app is created, and we will link our app with our WhatsApp. So we will add products to our app. So I will add WhatsApp to our app. So I will select on setup, and here you will select the business portfolio. So I will select it mine, And now I will click on continue, and I will click on start using the API. So here we will set up our WhatsApp app. First we need to generate an access token. So I will click on generate access token. So for authorization, it will redirect me to authenticate from my Facebook ID. And here I will select on option in all current and future WhatsApp account. And I will click on continue, and I will click on save. So our account has been connected to our bot, that is our bot. So this is our token, and at the initial WhatsApp or like Meta gave us only one test number, so we can test on this given number. And if we scroll down here, so this is our curl API. We can use this curl command to trigger the message in our to our WhatsApp. And here I will click on configure webhook. So first we need to create a webhook for our app. So I will click on configure webhook, and here we have to provide our callback webhook URL, and here we will provide our verified token. So I will generate an access token, and I will copy the token from here, and then I will go in our Botpress, and I will go in the integrations, and here I will select I will check for the WhatsApp. So we will install WhatsApp here, and yeah, so we will enable the integration. So this is our webhook URL. So I will just copy this temporary access token from here, and then I will go in our Botpress. So this is when you click on integration, and here we have installed WhatsApp already. So here we will paste our access token here, and the phone number is from here. Okay, so I will copy this phone number and paste it here, and then I will create a verified token, which is 12345, and I will copy the Botpress webhook URL, and then I will click on save configuration. And now I will go in our Meta app, and here I will click on configuration, and here I will provide the webhook URL and the verified token 12345, and I will click on verify and save. And then I will scroll down here, and I will enable the messages. So I will subscribe for the messages, and yeah, now we are good. And our WordPress has been integrated with our WhatsApp. So now if I open the WhatsApp, and this is the number, we will send a message. So if I go in our Meta app, so the number we have given, that is test number, right? So we will send a message to this test number, and I will say like hi, and okay, so like it asks for the details like full name. So I will say T45T, and phone number, we will give some phone number, and email is like t45@gmail.com. Okay, so we get the error, and let me do it again. I would say hi. Actually, wait. I will go here. So we have created our Botpress, okay. But before using in our WhatsApp, we need to publish it. So I will click on publish, and it will take some time during publishing. So our bot has been published successfully, and now if I go here and I will say something like it is asking how can we assist you. So I will say I have a complaint to submit that I am not happy with your services. And now it's asking for the details. So I will say T45TB. This is my name. And it asks for the phone number. And then it asks for the email. So I will say T45D at post in like email.com. So it returned a message that is, thank you, we received your complaint. Our support team will contact you soon. And we cannot see the message here. So here we are getting that this message cannot be displayed. Please open WhatsApp on your phone. So it is like yes and no, is asking for like you want to do anything else. And now let's go in our style sheet. Sorry, this sheet, and here we get the details, right? So if I go here, so we get the details and it is saved in our uh, sheet and Google Sheet. And now I will open the WhatsApp and I will say something like yes. And now let's send the command for the instruction. So I will say how to defrost freezer. And here we have received the instructions from our like rack system, and also the URL has been attached for the video link. So this is how we have implemented our rack based WhatsApp AI bot. And guys, if you haven't subscribed our channel, kindly subscribe our channel and click on the bell icon and also like the video.